evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye. Let me take you through today's headlines. To begin with, the wholesale price inflation in India is surged to 14.23% in November. That's a 12-year high. Remember, the comfort level for this number is about 4 to 6%. We're at 14% right now. The wholesale inflation is the measure of how prices of goods bought in wholesale markets have moved in the last 1 month. It is one of the indicators of the country's level of inflation. The other one is the consumer price inflation, which is not the wholesale market. In a statement, the Commerce Ministry has said, and I quote, the high rate of inflation is primarily due to the rise in prices of mineral oils, basic metals, crude petroleum, natural gas, and chemical products and food. The rise in these numbers can majorly be attributed to the rise in manufacturing and food prices and, of course, petroleum and natural gas. This is quite an alarming number. There's an update on the Lakhimpur Kheri case. You'll remember the UP Police's special investigative team has submitted their report after 2 months and said that it was a planned conspiracy. In an application, the SIT denied that the incident occurred because of negligence or callousness and said that it was a deliberate act. Remember, this was the act when a group of farmers were run over, mowed down with an SUV. The police are now saying it was deliberate with an intention to kill. It also sought to invoke charges including attempt to murder and others for the accused who are currently in the Lakhimpur Kheri jail. 8 people, including 4 farmers and 1 journalist, were killed on the 3rd of October in Lakhimpur Kheri when they were mowed down with an SUV. Around 13 people, including the Union Minister Ajay Mishra's son, Ashish Mishra, have been arrested in the case. The SIT team has said that the charges of rash driving against Ashish Mishra and the others should be modified and an attempt to murder charge should be added. An update on the Omicron variant of the COVID virus. India's tally has now gone up to 49 cases, according to NDTV. There have been cases now reported in Delhi, Rajasthan and Maharashtra, including the city of Mumbai. Other cases, the other states that have reported the Omicron cases include Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Chandigarh, Gujarat and Karnataka. India's total number of cases reported in the last 24 hours came down to 5,748, which is very, very low because we were hovering between the 7,000 and 10,000 cases per day until the last couple of weeks. The central government has now announced that it will be mandatory for travelers coming in from what we've called at-risk countries to pre-book their RT-PCR tests, which they need to undergo on arrival. Passengers who have not pre-booked their tests will be allowed to board their flights, but it will be the responsibility of the concerned airline to make sure that the tests are booked for these passengers. The rule will come into effect from the 20th of December and will be applicable only to international travelers in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad airports. The UK had also announced similar guidelines. The at-risk countries, as far as India is concerned, are everything in the European Union: UK, South Africa, Brazil, Botswana, China, Ghana, Mauritius, New Zealand, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Hong Kong, and Israel. The central government has told the Delhi High Court that experts are currently deliberating on the possible need for or the justification for booster doses of COVID vaccine. And currently, there are no guidelines that have been issued. The National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization and the National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID are deliberating and considering scientific evidence. The centre's response comes after the High Court last month asked the centre to submit a timeline for the proposed rollout of doses and if a booster shot was necessary at all. The Serum Institute of India CEO Adar Poonawalla has said that the company will soon launch their Novavax COVID vaccine for children in India in the next 6 months. He said it's under trial and has shown excellent data all the way down to the age group of 3. Poonawalla has also said global vaccine supplies are outstripping the absorption capacity in many countries. There's recent lab data, according to a report in NDTV, that shows that the Pfizer antiviral COVID pill has effectiveness against the Omicron variant as well, and it showed 90% efficacy in preventing hospitalizations and death for high-risk patients. This pill is apparently to be taken every 12 hours for 5 days, beginning shortly after the onset of symptoms. If authorized, the treatment will be sold as Paxlovid. Currently, there is no antiviral treatment for COVID. In its submission to the Supreme Court, the Gujarat government has raised the death tally due to COVID from about 10,000 to 19,964 coming out of the state of Gujarat. Now, with these new numbers, our entire country's fatality has gone up by 2%. This comes after the Supreme Court pulled up the Gujarat government while asking it to pay compensation to family members of those who had died of COVID. It also advised the state government to advertise the scheme in local newspapers. According to the Business Standard, while explaining these discrepancies to the court, the senior health department official of the Gujarat government said that the earlier death figures were based on the ICMR guidelines, but now the court has asked all states to consider deaths that are 30 days of being COVID positive and even having comorbidities. So that number has gone up there. Mumbai's civic body has announced that schools in Mumbai for classes 1 to 7 will reopen on Wednesday. It's tomorrow. Earlier, schools were going to reopen on December 4th, but it was pushed because of the Omicron variant. That decision has now come in for tomorrow. The Kerala High Court has directed the state government to frame guidelines, and this is not a COVID story, to frame guidelines that ensure strict actions are taken to prevent the conversion therapy being used for LGBTQI community people. The conversion therapy is an attempt to change someone's sexual orientation by converting them either through some treatment or some religious, sort of ceremony. Majority of the time, this is done without consent, and it's been severely criticized by the scientific community. The court has told the state government, and I quote, the state government will look into this matter and, if necessary, constitute an expert committee to study the issue. Based on the study, the state government will frame guidelines and produce the same before the court in the next 5 months. The Supreme Court has agreed with the government to allow the central government to construct the 3 double-lane strategic highways for the Char Dham road project in Uttarakhand. The court has constituted a committee led by former Supreme Court Judge Justice Sikri to ensure remedial measures are taken in the interest of the environment and recommendations of the committee are implemented as the project goes ahead. Remember, this is a 900-kilometer Char Dham project. It's worth 12,000 crore rupees. And it aims to provide all-weather connectivity to the 4 holy towns for the Yatris, which is Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath. Now, this was challenged by environmentalists in court who believe the environmental consequences of this road being built in this sensitive area of Uttarakhand is very worrying because of a sharp increase in the number of landslides and floods in the area because of this one road. The Defense Ministry argued that this road is being constructed so that they have access to the borders and the Indian Army can reach the borders with tanks and weapons and increase connectivity in mountainous areas. The court agreed with the Defense Ministry. An update from Parliament. Minister of State for Finance, Pankaj Chaudhary, informed Parliament that there is no official estimate of black money in foreign accounts in the last 5 years. He said that 2,476 crore was collected as tax and penalty under the one-time 3 months compliance window back in 2015. As many as 648 disclosures involving undisclosed foreign assets worth 4,164 crore rupees were made at that time. And since then, we have no data. An update now from the world of sports. Defending champion in badminton, PV Sindhu has entered the 3rd round of the women's singles BWF World Championship 2021 in Spain after defeating the Slovakian counterpart. Meanwhile, Indian shuttler HS Pranoy won the 1st round of the BWF World Championship in Spain as well. He defeated his counterpart from Hong Kong in 71 minutes. One piece of positive news before we leave you for today. The city of Dubai has now gone completely paperless. According to the Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan, who announced that Dubai has become the first government to be 100% paperless. With this, the 1.3 billion dirham or the $350 million will be saved, and 14 million man hours will be saved as well from taking printouts and moving paper about. According to PTI, all internal, external transactions and procedures in the government of Dubai is now 100% digital and managed from a comprehensive digital government services platform. Gives new meaning to, to the famous sort of slogan, "Hum kagaz nahi dikhayenge." I'm going to leave you there. That brings us to the end of the news. We've done an interesting conversation on the latest updates coming out of Uttar Pradesh as it hots up now for the election to figure out who's doing what and who stands a chance. That's on our YouTube page. Do subscribe to our YouTube page. It does help us as well. Thank you for watching. Good night.